This is Lock Lover. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. If not, thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to open a few packages and give you all a little look into what hopefully will be picked on the channel here shortly. I'm going to start off with a package from GoontenSlouch off of the subreddit. As you can see, I started to open it, but I decided I would get this on camera instead. I know what's in here. Actually, I know what's in both packages I'm going to open. GoontenSlouch has been very generous with me, loaning me locks to pick that I do not have, and we've been kind of sending stuff back and forth, more so on his end to sending to me rather. And what we have in here, unless he's tried to surprise me with something else, is a MT5 Plus. Which I will probably remove the sidebar and side pins first and try to get picked effectively as a normal MT5. And here's our key. I'll tell you, GoontenSlouch, you really like to pack them up. There's half of the cylinder. You can see there's our track for the sliders, our little element there on the end for the alpha spring, I believe it's called. Oh, listen to those clicks. That's satisfying right there. And I guess just like a normal Euro, once you take the piece off right here on the end, you can't stick the key in all the way, or it won't line up, and you won't be able to operate with the key. So if you push in all the way, it won't work. So there's nothing wrong with the lock. It's just there's a piece missing off of the back here that prevents the key from going in all the way. Thank you very much, GoontenSlouch. I'll try to get this back to you as fast as possible, which you know how I am. That could be a little while. Okay, moving on to the next package. This is something that I won on eBay, or bought rather. I believe it was a buy it now. What we should have in here are 7 Sergeant KESOs. And if you're not familiar with the Sergeant KESO, I don't blame you, because there's really only 3 people on YouTube that I'm aware of. That wasn't my address, that was the eBay guy's address. Hopefully that didn't get in there. If it did, I will edit it out. Back to what I was saying, there's only 3 people that I know of that has picked this on camera, which would be Chess Guy, Steel Pennings, and Frosty 901. These locks are all keyed the same. I have 2 that do not have keys. If anybody out there knows where I can get a key made for one of these, please leave a comment in the description. This lock has 3 sets of pins. It uses pins off of both sides of the key. Well, actually there's pins on both sides of the lock. It uses both sides of the key and the edge of the key. From what I gather, it is a very hard lock to open because it is very easy to overset the pins. Since I have quite a few of these, I'll probably hold on to one for the 100 subscriber giveaway if I ever get there. I've got, like I said, I've got several of these. I've got a good bit of First Watch American 1100 clones. I've got some new old stock vintage Yale, I believe they're 6-pin mortise cylinders. Right here I've got a whole case or a whole box of these. Just some random things. I'll get together a package for that, which I'm a long ways off for that, but that's a little incentive, I guess, to stick around. Like I said, every one of these are keyed the same, or at least it's supposed to be, so this key ought to work this. Yeah, here we go. Normally these sit in a mortise housing. This is a lock from Average Picker, and it's held in with a roll pin. Steel Pinnings has a good video, check out his channel. And that roll pin goes in and basically sits right there on that little dimple, and that keeps this in the mortise. So hopefully, maybe, if all the stars and planets align, I might be able to get this picked someday, as well as the mul-t-lock. Some other things that I mentioned that's probably going to be coming down the pipe here. I've got to get this quick set on camera. I'm not sure whether this is a Gen 1 or a Gen 2. I believe it is a Gen 2 because I've bought it recently, and supposedly all the Gen 1s are supposed to have been pulled off of the market. So unless this was some very old stock, this is a Gen 2. Chris Aarons just did a really great video on some tips to open these, and he really put that out there in some perfect timing for me, because I just mentioned to a few fellow lockpicking buddies that I really wanted to get this lock open, and I haven't tried other than I took it apart to see what generation it was, seen it was a Gen 3, and basically lost interest in it, which was kind of foolish, because here sits a lock I haven't tried to pick. That'll try to get done soon. I have a challenge lock from Alan VRC off of the lockpicking subreddit and Discord. 666, the false set from hell. Very tough lock. I have opened it off of camera. Had some problems with it. Some really thin cut spools and T-pins. End up having breaking a spool, so I have to make Alan another spool and put in it, which won't quite be, picked as original because it's not his pin, but it'll be very close. I've got a Schlage Primus here, Everest Primus actually, with the D keyway that I need to get picked. I have to make a finger pin pick for this. Actually, I'm not sure if you actually have to have a special pick, but I'm going to try and make one for this, courtesy of Super Llama's spec sheet for his pick. As soon as I find some stock or a pick I'm willing to destroy, to get into that. As far as that, I really don't have any other locks here that I can show you. I have another one on its way from Mark Chapter 13. Really appreciate that, by the way. It's a Chicago Duo padlock, which is the 13 wafer padlock. I'm really excited to get that in here and get a look at it and see how bad it beats me up. But other than that, matter of fact, I do have one more. I'm working on progressively pinning a Medico original or classic, depending on what you want to call it. Mine is a 5-pin, but I've learned that mine only has standard drivers, and depending on the year it may have a mushroom driver, and that it should have a steel driver in the front, and it doesn't have any of that. It's just all standard pins, but it does have the the regular Medico key pins, obviously, with the sidebar. So I'm going to work on progressively pinning that. I'm up to 3 pins on there, which, my confidence level is up on that. I know it's different, but I did pick the Medico Duracam on film. I believe that was actually my last video. And you can't progressively pin it. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to, maybe end up destroying the lock and not being able to get it back together. But if you watch that video, I explained that there's no driver pins. It's just a sidebar, but you still have to lift and rotate. And this is the baby version with the 4 pins. So it's a little bit different, where these have a hole drilled into the side of the key pin to fit the sidebar, whereas one of these have a groove in it. So you can set the pins to the sidebar on this original while they're at rest, basically. And once you have them set and get the sidebar pushed in and the tension on it, you're good. Now you can just pick the shear line, or you can go the other way, depending on how you want to tension the lock. You can set the shear first, then set to the sidebar grooves. Whereas with the Duracam, you have to have the height and the rotation set at the same time. So, you know, I know they're a little bit different, but getting this open a few times has boosted my confidence into going back to the Medico. I started progressively pinning it a few months ago, got to about 3 pins on it there, and just kind of moved on to something else. And that's where I'm at with that. I've got tons of challenge locks I need to get built. I'll have a few videos on some basics on challenge lock design, I guess you could call it. I know there's some videos out there on pin making and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that. I'll tell you right now, I'm not nowhere near a pin maker as some of the guys out there. Some guys got some really beautiful pin work. However, I will go over what I like to call challenge lock theory. I believe that just throwing a challenge lock together in less than an hour is, you know, it's doable, but if you really sit down and try to understand the relationship between the key pin height and the type of driver you're using and any modifications that you do to the Bible or the plug, you really get a lot better lock out of it. So basically that's what I've got for today, and keep your eye out and we'll have one of these locks picked here very soon. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.